case. Check under the phone
This
booth.
is unconstitutional. This was industrial scale censorship, is what it was. They weren't right. They did all this stuff, and it turned out that all the things they were saying were either lies or were incorrect. Right. And there's no repercussions.
His name is
So you're
Yannick,
seeing all this
a broker
in
for
real
the
time,
guild.
and no one on the left has
He'll be on his yacht tonight taking a call with the Pantheon. We'll be listening in.
If you have a problem with it, there's so
Once
much
that call is finished, you'll finish Yannick. That'll draw the target I really want. But first things first.
You were just abandoning this. Like, I can't talk to you.
The bell tower on that church offers an open view of Yannick's yacht. He's throwing a party while his men count money in the church.
The left cannot be reformed in this country anymore. That's what happened.
Yannick traffics in weapons, narcotics, women, whatever pays. Rumor has it the Pantheon wants a relationship with the guild. So Yannick is testing the waters. It's only our first domino. The real fun starts after we knock him down and get access to the target I really want. Johannes Edi.
And I think that
Close enough to know if you screw this up.
Is the entire modern Democratic Party grew up in an era where
Let's see what you're made of, Case.
right,
Get to the bell tower.
could say something
I don't
about
care how.
Vietnam
Quiet,
War,
loud,
and
just get there.
Collapse of public support for the Vietnam War.
Case, those guards are going to be trouble.
Therefore, social trust was just so much higher. And I think that a lot of them are trying to reimpose that social trust on from the top, not recognizing that high level of social trust came organically.
Case,
From the way that
get to the bell tower.
And if you have
I don't care how.
people try
Quiet,
to reimpose
loud,
it from
just
the
get
top, it
there.
actually degrades the very thing you're trying to create. Because I've seen, family members of mine who got really radicalized because they were like, wait a second, should we be vaccinating 3-year-olds in our schools? Like,
Not a bad case.
Development? And then they would get kicked
You
off
could
Facebook
go for a swim,
because a person
avoid
with
some guards.
Facebook friends who has no public profile dared to question the prevailing narrative, and again, they ended up being right about it. I actually think that what the left is doing is degrading social trust by trying to create it from on high. And I kind of get the psychological impulse because, a lot of great things that we do come from high levels of social trust, but you've got to reestablish it organically. You can't try to force it on people. And there's been some course correcting. Did you read Bezos' article? Was it yesterday that came out? Yeah, I did see that. I go back and forth. Again, I don't know Jeff super well. I've always liked his interactions with him, but not that they're editorial.
Those guards are going to be trouble.
It's that their entire journalism department is
Once we listen to Yannick's call and confirm the Pantheon lead for Adler, I'm declaring open season on the guild. They have it coming. I should know. I used to work for them. I never cared for Yannick's parties when I was with the guild.
And the New York Times is kind of an exception. Yeah, it's very left-wing, but it hasn't totally gone insane. The Washington Post might as well be propaganda to any number of stories where they just go the left-wing line almost instinctively. The problem was with the journalism. The Washington Post is not the editorials. I don't care. Endorses Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. I care about whether the journalists are lying about Donald Trump or lying about Kamala Harris. And frankly, they're lying in the negative direction about my information. They're lying in the negative direction about Kamala Harris. So Jeff Bezos is a commitment to the Washington Post not just being a Democrat super PAC. Leadership hires people. Columnists, it doesn't matter. What matters is their journalism.
Get inside that church, Case.
Standard. They don't do that. And to me, it's just it seems like that's at least a step in the right direction. Fair. That's great. You have an argument against Donald Trump on the front page next to an argument for Donald Trump, and let two different intelligent people state their cases. One from a conservative.
Party won't go all night. Get to that bell tower.
Let's see what resonates with you. It's a step in the right direction. I just think that unless you change the underlying journalism to make it more fair, it's going to be only a step in the right direction rather than fixing the problem. Well, what else can he do? He's probably this nuts yacht hanging out with his girlfriend's pictures.
Access to the bell tower is on the second floor behind a locked door.
And read everybody's work. Okay. So Breitbart,
dead
and I know
case.
that most people assume that Breitbart is just like right-wing rag. That is, he has one of the best contacts of journalists in Washington. He knows what's going to happen in the country before most left-wing journalists because he talks to liberals, he talks to conservatives, he has allies on Capitol Hill. Let's go to the Washington Post, hire him, and say, Matt, go and do what you're going to do. And obviously, it's not going to be able to have a political bias. If you want to go to investigate Kamala Harris's campaign, go and do it. But that is what it would look like, is empowering conservative, independent journalism in the same way that Jeff Bezos is empowering left-wing journalism. If I see that happening, then I'll be a little bit more optimistic about this stewardship.
Well, could you imagine
Bell tower access is on the second floor.
On Kamala's speeches and appearances in these media outlets as there is on Trump's?
Oh my God.
One of the things that we talked about was how they edited that one answer that she was asked, like, what, about
CBS.
Yeah. They edited it completely, and I wasn't aware that they put an answer for a completely different question there.
Well, okay, so I think that what happened there, having done some, trying to understand a little bit better, is they basically just edited her answer down a lot so that she didn't sound like a total insane person. Because what aired, I think, on the smaller, what aired on the channels online that had a smaller pickup
Was the rambling.
The
word salad.
But what actually aired on the news programs was, I mean, it still didn't sound very good, but it sounded a hell of a lot better. Let me give you a very good example.
But it's really not the answer.
So
it's like they
Door to the bell tower is on the second floor of the church.
let me see what.
Yannick's expecting a call from Pantheon any minute.
I'm trying to find the statistic from my team because I asked them this last night. So they did change the answer. They changed it away to protect her. And then importantly, they refused to release the transcript.
Guys, so close.
So
Do
my
it quick.
attitude would be just release the transcript, let people see what she actually said, so that you at least have some integrity as a journalistic outlet. But okay, so here's you, of course, I'm sure, paid attention to the kerfuffle over a comedian at the Trump rally at MSG. I think you even know this guy, right?
It's a good friend.
Okay, yeah. So he tells a joke about Puerto Rico.
This morning I stashed the rifle at the top of the tower. Remember, Keith, don't pull the trigger until we hear his call. We need to confirm any connection to Pantheon.
On ABC 53, on NBC 32, and on CBS 31 in 2 days. They talked about that joke effectively nonstop. You know what it means to have 31 mentions on NBC News about this particular thing? That is that is saturation. Last night, Joe Biden called
Get up there, Keith.
of America that's going to vote for Donald Trump garbage. Do you think that the word garbage is going to appear on CNN 141 times over the next 2 days?
No.
I would bet no. Now, what's the difference? Well, one difference is that it was a comedian telling a joke.
Yannick's near the umbrella. Upper deck left side.
What he actually
Surrounded
thinks.
by girls.
Another difference is, again, it's a comedian with, at best, a tenuous connection to the Trump campaign. And on the other hand, you have the actual sitting president and a vice presidential campaign event.
My boys are still counting it.
The vice president,
Remember,
the
this
entire
deal
country
is one and done,
an
huh?
event
Don't need to get mixed up with the CIA or your
Americans are
Pantheon
garbage.
thing.
And I
You'll send the
guarantee
hardware
he is not
tonight,
gonna cover this the
understand?
same way. But here,
That's not what we agreed to.
Tonight, Yannick.
Last night, that
Don't test me.
they initially tried to
So the
write a
Pantheon
story
and the CIA are
about
connected
what had
somehow.
been said
We got what we need.
by Joe Biden.
Take the shot.
They said that Biden had called racism against Puerto Ricans garbage. Well, who disagrees with that? I think that racism against Puerto Ricans is garbage, but instead, he said that Trump supporters are garbage. It turned out there were videos so we could actually
What's
see for
this
ourselves
right?
what was actually
You are a
said.
good shot.
The amount of dishonesty in the American media really is off the charts.
Yannick was just our first domino. We have more work to do tonight.
He's literally that crazy.
Head back towards the payphone. I'll pull up in the white van.
And no one thinks he's
Guards
there.
inbound. Word on Yannick got out.
Get ready! Don't let
Don't let him get past the canal!
Surprise! I know.
This one was amazing.
Man, she did some good things. She talks. The way you describe it, she talks.
You're in the clear
Yeah.
case.
It's like
Tim Dillon says it's like she does gypsy curses. It's basic gypsy curses.
Because Americans don't have
Let's go, Case.
Yeah.
They're not going to have the opportunity to get married.
Hey, turn it down.
Generate generational wealth. You have so much money.
That's Gabriel up there. He's cool.
There's actually a skill to this.
They called an emergency meeting at Chateau de la Haute Lune. 3 guild leaders will be in attendance to smooth things over with Pantheon. I want to get paid, so we're going to crash that party. Chateau de la Haute Lune! Let's go! The guild will lock the restaurant down and meet in a safe room on the second floor. Door can only be unlocked from the inside. You're gonna help me get that door open. We're a few minutes out yet. Just enough time to get changed.
There are all these steps and policy disagreements, and we can talk about it.
There we are.
Border policy, I don't like this, I
Fits
don't
for
like
guild
that.
security.
What does she do?
Personally, I want
She's
his
a
guild bastards dead.
leader, and she has to
Pantheon
like
seems
know
no cake for me.
details of public policy to negotiate.
This is my
with
stop.
For Xi Jinping. Like, what are the major
Get to
things
the
that you
safe
do
room's antechamber on the
as a
second
president
floor.
is you
An
participate
alarm
in
will go off.
economic
That's okay.
negotiations. Like what
The guild
tariffs
doesn't
are
know
we going
you.
to apply on your goods
So your
unless you
best
impose
option
tariffs on ours.
is to
Vice
surrender
versa,
and
right?
play along.
You have to be able to know a little bit
When
about
we
your
get
job
inside,
to be
wait
the
for my
president of the United
cue.
States. And I don't know that she has an ounce of curiosity about public policy in this country. That's what scares the hell out of me.
Well, it's just strange that everyone's accepting that this person who was the least popular vice president ever is now the solution to the problem, and that the media machine in just a few days did this 180 and just sold her as the solution. And as long as they keep her from having these conversations where she's allowed to talk,
That's right.
they're able to pull this off. And the fact that it's happening with no primary should be really concerning to people, because
It
that's
really
never
should.
happened before.
What's
They
also
could have had a primary.
Well, it's also part of the process where you identify people's flaws, you figure out what they're good at, what they're bad at. The primary is actually a grueling process.
How you handle pressure.
How you handle pressure, right? And we don't really know how she's handled pressure because she's only done it for a little while. And if you just look at Donald Trump's public schedule, J.D. Vance's public schedule versus Kamala Harris, dude, it is striking how little she does. There was an interview that she did. I think it's the only really tough interview she's done with Brett Baer.
The guild is meeting Pantheon right now. Get inside and find a safe room.
Calendar for
Of all the
days
guild assholes
before
meeting
she did
tonight,
this
the Sadie's the biggest.
and just prep her.
If we can't get them, consider me a no for your little club.
You know, if that's not pressure. If you can take 2 days off for one single interview, that's not pressure. And also just little things. I mean, look, there's this story out there. To be clear, I have no idea if it's true, but there is a woman who has gone on the record and said that Doug Emhoff, Kamala Harris's husband, smacked her in the face in France. Okay, that's been reported on the media. I'm sure you guys can find it if you want to. Okay. But I know this, most people know this. Our investors usually doesn't stop with one person. Investors are serial domestic interest in investigation. Whether the White House, the president, could be sharing the White House with the person who is engaged in domestic abuse. That is in the public interest to know. Not always the American people don't have the time for the investigation these accusations. Meanwhile, somebody says anything about Donald Trump, makes an entire news cycle. Totally curious about what's going on.
People are becoming aware of the bias, the scrutiny that's applied to Trump.
So that's right. But you go back to this question you asked me about Jeff Bezos. This is why you need good reporters who have the investigatory skills, who are empowered by their employers to go out and do investigations. Like, you know, your platform, you're having more honest and open conversation than anything that's happening in the corporate media. It's like one of the reasons why I listen to your show, one of the reasons why I'm happy to be here. But you don't have like a person working.
The safe room is upstairs.
Go to like France.
Kate,
and
get to the antechamber. Press the alarm. I'll be
this
ready.
is true. This is why, you know, I told Elon this, but like the most useful piece of philanthropy, if you're a right of center American, would be to set up a nonprofit organization where you pay a really good reporter for 5 years. You give them complete job security, and you just tell them, investigate what's going on, and bring it back. Because if you don't have that, then what still have a public advantage over us is they've got people investigating me and Donald Trump. There's no one really investigating Kamala Harris.
Well, there's also the amount of left-wing media versus right-wing media is pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
Like, what is the percentage of networks that lead left? CNN clearly, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS, and then you have Fox.
And then you have Fox.
And then you have a couple of News Nation, what
Right.
have you. But
And if you just
reach is much less.
It reaches much, much less. And if you just look at, I mean, you're only, you know, you and a few others are the only people who can compare with the actual platform size of an NBC and CBS. I mean, yeah, fewer people watch them now than they did 20 years ago. But if you look, man, like, you're still getting 5 to 8 million viewers every single night for each of the major networks on the nightly news. That's incredible reach.
Yeah.
Like, there's still a lot of power there. And, you know, to your point about, like, the comparison, you know, Fox News, number one, if you look at Fox News' viewership,
Get close to the door and hit the alarm.
But more importantly, in some ways, is Fox News, which I do think is very important. But yeah, they have a right of center bias, certainly, I will admit that. But if you look at how much Fox News is covering the left fairly versus the right, it's much more balanced than like an NBC, right? Like NBC would never have an interview with Donald J. Trump where the journalist is asking tough questions, but is like sitting down and broadcasting Donald Trump for an hour. Fox News would do that for Kamala Harris, and they did do that for Kamala Harris, and there's a real difference there.
Well, there's also, like, the way Brett Breyer, Bear,
Yeah.
the way he interviewed Kamala Harris is very similar to the way he interviewed Donald Trump.
Exactly. Exactly.
And nobody accused him of doing anything sneaky then.
No.
Or no one was even angry at him.
Well, because the expectation is that you're going to interrupt, you're going to fact check, and you're going to try to.
Case, I'm nearly in position. Get to the antechamber.
Anything other than kid gloves, you know, you're not allowed to do that.
I think most people are upset. It's one of the reasons why the movement is so, the movement towards Trump, that they're so enthusiastic, they're so energetic. It's because they do realize that there's this imbalance, and they don't like it. They think that the only way this is going to get fixed is someone who's a complete outsider. You can't be more outsider than the military judicial system.
That's right.
They're literally trying to prosecute him like a banana republic. They're doing it over and over. They're doing it.
Stick with it.
About
Play along.
We're going to put him in jail. We're going to lock him up.
Yeah.
That way we're going to
Bragging about it.
keep him from being accomplice.
Well, you know, I
Wait for my signal. Not before.
Publicly, but so what's interesting to me about toddlers, and
You CIA
you know, I've
types are all
talked
the
to
same.
Carlson about this. Toddlers
And this
lie
one?
in a way that's very
Troublemaker.
Right, so like if you're
We have
telling
a
lie,
visitor.
normally
Walked right into the lion's
you do
den.
that thing,
Alone.
you would say no,
Uninvited.
somebody else did it, or
Maybe this one
they
works
kind of
for a
call it
rival,
out in
huh?
the middle. Give you an example. My 4-year-old,
Or maybe
I'm a big
Pantheon
baker.
is trying to squeeze us.
I'm a big baker. And my 4-year-old and I are
We
making
learn the truth one way
and,
or another.
my 4-year-old
Go
is
ahead.
helping me. He likes to help me out a lot when I bake. And I go to the bathroom. And the Oreos that we're supposed to put in the Oreo cake, like crumble them up and put them in the cake, like half of them are
Caminado.
gone. And he looks at me, and without a hint of shame, he says, right? So that's the way that college works is I didn't think Oreos you did brag because our administration actively bragged about trying to arrest your political opponents. He wouldn't go out and say that if Donald Trump was president, he was going to arrest his political opponents, even though he already was president and he didn't do that.
Bastards don't even
You know,
recognize
Jack
me.
Sharp said that he's going
Not
to take
that
away
it
your
was-
Second Amendment rights.
It's crazy. The person who legally wants to confiscate firearms, Kamala Harris, It's
We
saying
can't let them
wants to take
escape.
away your Second Amendment rights. Dude, the thing that, okay, do you know who Steve Bannon is?
Yes.
Okay, fascinating guy. Did he just get out? He got out of prison yesterday.
They have guns!
Somebody help us!
Donald Trump wants to jail.
Everyone clear out!
He got out of prison after a 4-year prison sentence yesterday.
Seguieron los mendos made this easy. His safety pays top dollar for meat shields. Idiots!
Obama General was found in contempt of Congress, or at least was keep
Some of these bastards are packing bugs on us.
There was no court case around it. The contempt of Congress that Steve Bannon engaged in is that the J6 one of these banana Republican committees, Congressional Democrats, they held contempt of Congress and they threw him in prison for it. Against it. Using the power of government. It's already used the power of government.
Send in
to jail
more men!
political opponents.
We must
And she's
protect the
saying Donald
Sadie!
Trump is going to do the thing that he didn't do, and she did when they were in respective positions.
You think it's because they're worried he gets into power, he gets into the start to instigate
Case, keep pushing up.
the 51 former
Exactly. They're afraid of consequences. They're afraid of, look, do I think the 51 intelligence agents who signed that letter should go to prison? No. Should they be stripped of their security clearance? Absolutely. Right? They
Can't let them get away.
the American people about something that was in the national interest. There are no consequences for that.
problem concern it's going to reveal what the elements of that
Please, stop!
particular story really were. Like, oh,
There's,
Case, keep
there's a lot
pushing
of
up.
corruption there. There are hierarchies. There are people who said one thing and one thing said something else.
Let's continue on.
Poke your head out,
Some people
Seguin.
that
I got
say,
something for you.
maybe perjure themselves.
Can't win, Sebastian!
Still in there. Not going out there. And he's never said, I want to arrest you because you're a Democrat. He's never said, I want to arrest you because you disagree with me. He's never said, I want to censor you even because you